All right, guys. Injuries from the game. Just one new one. Deebo ended up having a calf strain. He'll probably miss a couple weeks. And that's it. Go ahead.
Kyle, after the touchdown to Justin Jefferson, Malik Mustafa came in at safety for a couple of series and then played in the second half as well. Was that a reaction to the touchdown, or had that been planned that he would get some snaps in the game?
No, not at all. Our plan was the third series of the game to get him in. I don't know if that was third or fourth, but we had planned that all week anyways. We wanted to do it a little bit in the first game, never did. So we were going to do that, try to play him throughout the game a little bit. So it had nothing to do with that play.
Kyle, yesterday Brandon indicated to us that he felt that he was at about 85%. When watching the film, would you agree with that assessment? And is he about where you thought he'd be at this point, having missed camp and all?
I think BA looks 100%. I think what he meant is he's playing about 85% of what he usually plays. But just in terms of him running stuff and health, he's 100%. I think he's getting like 85% of the playing time.
Kyle, did Deebo get hurt at a particular point in the game, or is this just one of those things that kind of popped up overnight?
No, he told me he thinks he did it on that when he caught. I think it was like the third to last play. They had a blitz down in the red zone. He caught the hot route breaking in. He says he thinks he did it on that play. I think there was only like 2 or 3 plays after that play, though.
Kyle, in regards to getting Brandon Ayuk more involved in the passing game, were there just not opportunities for him, or have you just kind of tried to ease him in more slowly?
No, there was a number of times he had a real good chance to get the ball, and a couple times protections broke down on 2 of them. One time someone busted a route and just got in the same way, so they covered it up. But he had a chance to get about 4 big passes, and other factors happened. It's a team game. There's 11 guys out there that are involved in getting someone the ball, and he did have some opportunities where he should have, but not everything went right.
Was there anything that Brian Flores was doing that was something that you hadn't seen, or that maybe you weren't quite as prepared for as maybe you should have been?
No, that's what they do. They either blitz or they back off and play zone. It's one or the other. They've been mixing it up. They did it for 17 games last year. Now they've done it for 2 games this year, and that we ran the ball a lot better than a lot of teams have. They're real tough run defense to go against. I thought we made some good explosives in the pass game, but we just struggled to keep the chains moving on third down. And when you end up turning the ball over twice and getting that block punt, that was the difference.
Kyle, how frustrating or difficult is it to lose Deebo on top of losing Christian? Obviously, it seems like that complicates the situation that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, always when you lose real good players, it's always tough, but it happens all over the league, and it's a huge part of this league and a huge part of this game. Got to deal with it.
Look back on the final drive of the game. Were you pleased with how you managed the clock, and would you have liked to take a shot into the end zone?
What part?
Drive of the game. When you look back on the final drive of the game, how you managed the clock at the end, Brandon, would you have take a shot into the end zone in retrospect?
Yeah, you don't just call plays to say take a shot into the end zone or check it down. It kind of depends what the defense is doing, and they played so much soft Tampa 2, having a 2-score lead. It was tough to get a shot into the end zone. It would have led to an interception if you just forced it in there. So the main thing was getting stuck in that 4th down. Really wish we would have moved the chains on there. 43 made a hell of a play tipping it, and Deebo went to try to knock it out. Unfortunately, it stuck in his stomach, and he caught it, and then we weren't going to go for it on 4th and 8. We knew our best chance there was to kick the field goal and try an onside kick at the end.
How is Noah Hufanga looking for this week?
He's looking good. He's had 2 good weeks, had a real good week last week, so hopefully he can get in and play this week and have 3 good practices.
Kyle, after the game, Brock Purdy indicated that he just kind of openly said, the Brian Flores scheme gave him some trouble seeing things. When you watched the tape, did you see him maybe taking a little longer with the ball than you would like? And how much of that was a result of the scheme and maybe also not having Christian and check down option like that?
No, I think that's what the point of the scheme is. It's to have six guys up on the line and come from everywhere. So it's just a lot of pressure on a quarterback throughout a game. I mean, that's what their scheme is. They're going to make you think whether you're hot every play, and if you're not, then you got to find the open zones. And there are a lot of open zones, but it's tough the way they slow you down with having the threat of zero throughout the game. He does a really good job of mixing it up, and that is the challenge for a quarterback. It makes it really tough to get into a rhythm.
How do you look at the way your offensive line played after watching the video? Obviously, 6 sacks. How do you sort of assess their game?
I mean, you got to look at all the sacks. I believe one was from a hot that we didn't throw. We just got hit in the back on one play, so we got to get rid of that. I think 3 of them. One was scrambling for a 0-yard run. I think another was scrambling and diving for a negative 1-yard run. When we didn't have one side open, he went to the other. There was definitely a couple sacks in there, especially on third down. But I thought they run blocked well. I didn't think when you see 6 sacks, you assume it's a real tough day on the whole line, but I credit that more to the whole offense. A few were definitely on them, but definitely not all 6 of them. So everyone's got to do better, but that number 6 is a little unfair to them.
How you have an open space on your roster. Do you fill that with a running back or a wide receiver, given Samuel's injury?
We're not sure yet. We'll discuss that, see what the best options are. You usually get three backs up for a game, and we continue to have 3 backs up. So I'm not sure if we have to do that yet. It depends, what's out there and things like that. And usually get 5 receivers up for a game, and just the way our roster's been going and the way it's played out, we've been able to get 6. So I don't think anything is a true necessity, but having that room gives us a luxury to pick wherever we need it the most, and we'll see how we feel about that here over the next few days.
Kyle, the time off affected Trent Williams.
Puts a lot of pressure on the defensive line, obviously, or on the offensive line. Obviously, your backs are going to be heavily involved in pass protection. How did you feel that Jordan Mason performed yesterday in pass protection?
Sorry, I missed the beginning of what you said. Can you say it again?
Yeah, I was just talking about, Flores and what he does up front, obviously a bunch of different looks. How do you feel like Mason performed in pass pro yesterday?
No, I thought he did a real good job. He didn't have any busts. He never missed any assignments. He got on his guys. Him and Juice both stepped up in there well. They started bringing a lot of backers internally in the second half, and that's what. And they went in and protected them well. Their point and all that stuff is to keep the back end so you don't have any checkdowns. But he stood in there stout and gave the quarterback time to throw.
The time off that Trent Williams took this offseason affected him in this game?
I don't know how to totally answer that. I think Trent played decent. There's definitely things he'd like to have back, but I didn't see him get tired or fatigued or anything like that. So, I don't really relate anything to that. It was just about the game yesterday.
Kyle, a number of players said that it was warmer than they expected it to be, and we don't normally see George Kittle going Ivy. Would you chalk it up more to a short week and kind of being tired and a long road trip, or did the heat actually have an effect on everybody?
No, I think we gave up some big plays. I think, when we had a chance to stop them for like a 57-yard field goal, and we give up basically a 20-yard scramble at the end to give them an easy field goal. I think when you give up a blocked punt, I think when you give up a 97-yard touchdown and not make them work for the drive, and I think us struggling on third down with our 2 turnovers, I think is more about it. It was hot in there, but especially for a dome, it's unusual for it to feel muggy and stuff inside a dome, which that was the first time I'd been a part of something like that. But that has nothing to do to me with the outcome of the field, what happened on the field.
Did Brock Purdy's fumble? They're calling it a fumble. Was that heat related, and that his hand was slippery from sweat?
People sweat when they exercise hard or when they're really hot. So, that's probably what made it slippery. But that's stuff quarterbacks deal with every game, especially centers snap a lot, and quarterbacks get their hands wet from having to take snaps from centers too. And sometimes ball carriers soak the ball also. So there's lots of things that go into it. But, yeah, it's slipping has to do with things that make hands slippery.
It seemed like Deebo played one of his better games of the season, better games in quite a while. What did you see from him yesterday? Because it seemed like he was just comfortable catching the ball away from his body, sitting down in zone. So what did you see?
I thought he had some real good catches. That team plays more zone than anybody that we've gone against in probably the last 8 years. I mean, they're such a heavy zone team, so that's kind of what you're expecting with it. Brock had a number of good throws, layering it over some backers, and Deebo had to kind of climb the ladder a couple times and made a couple impressive catches. I thought he played one of his better games versus the Jets. So I don't know if I'd say one of his better ones compared to others, but I thought he played real well.